The Lakers were finally getting healthy again just 27 days before the start of the NBA playoffs. The injury bug that had haunted them all season was gone, but instead of smooth sailing, they were hit with a brutal reality check, serious issues that needed fixing if they had any hope of making a deep postseason run. This game was a perfect example of the good, the bad, and the ugly. A full breakdown of what went right, what went wrong, and what could spell disaster for LA down the stretch. Coming off a grueling road trip with a winning record, the so-called Hospital Lakers were at full strength once again. LeBron James was back, Rui Hachimura had returned. The matchup? A showdown with Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls. From the jump, it was clear the Lakers had some cracks in their game plan. Chicago wasted no time capitalizing on defensive lapses as Jonas Valanciunas found himself wide open after Hayes lost track of him in transition. On the next possession, Luka Doncic, operating in heavy traffic, somehow threaded the ball to his big man, setting up an easy bucket. It was clear Luka was about to put on another clinic. Meanwhile, LeBron looked like a man on a mission. Coming off an injury, he was still outrunning younger defenders like they were stuck in cement. In transition, he caught a head full of steam and left the Bulls scrambling, but Chicago wasn't backing down. Kobe White, an absolute nightmare in transition, attacked relentlessly, putting Austin Reeves on skates before finishing over LeBron. The Lakers were trying to beat Chicago at their own game, pushing the tempo, dominating transition, and forcing turnovers. But every time they gained momentum, they shot themselves in the foot. A careless turnover, a defensive miscue, and suddenly, Chicago was capitalizing. Then came the Luka Houdini moment, a fake pass, a smooth finish at the rim, and suddenly the Lakers had life. But every bit of brilliance from Luka was met with another haymaker from the Bulls. Kobe White was unstoppable, curling off screens, breaking down defenders, and finishing through contact. He started the game perfect from the field, leading a 7-0 run that had the Lakers reeling. And then, Buzelis happened. Luka found himself stranded on an island, and Buzelis made him pay, behind the back, downhill, and straight to the rim. That one hurt. At full strength, the Lakers had weapons everywhere. Reeves started heating up from deep, LeBron was locking in defensively, and the ball movement was starting to flow. But Chicago's athleticism was a problem. They were attacking closeouts, avoiding charges, and finishing strong, all while White continued torching LA's defense. By the end of the first, White had already racked up 16 points, and the Bulls held a 1-point lead. To start the second quarter, after relying on Luka's deep-range sorcery in the first, LA finally started expanding their perimeter attack. Reeves knocked down a much-needed three, but the Bulls weren't slowing down. They were living in the paint, attacking LA's weak interior defense. Then, LA's Achilles heel showed up again. Turnovers. A sloppy pass led to a fast break, and suddenly Chicago was running wild. After a 12-2 Bulls run, JJ Redick had seen enough. Timeout Lakers, it was their biggest deficit of the game. Out of the break, Chicago doubled down on their defensive strategy. They were content to play single coverage on LeBron, trusting Patrick Williams to funnel him into help. And it worked. Williams cut off a drive, forced LeBron into traffic, and helped force a tough possession. On the flip side, the Lakers had one real bright spot, Jackson Hayes. Reeves' pocket passes were setting him up for easy runways, and he was converting through contact. When Hayes gets an open lane, it's lights out. But the Bulls kept running. Live ball turnovers turned into fast breaks, and Chicago pushed the tempo relentlessly. While Buzelis set up shop in the paint, Kobe White was still in the zone. Deep threes, acrobatic finishes, there was simply nothing LA could do to stop him. So, with the game slipping away, Luka took matters into his own hands. A near turnover, a scramble for the loose ball, and a cold-blooded three to keep the Lakers afloat. But Josh Giddey wasn't finished either. Playing at his own pace, controlling every possession, and exposing defensive gaps, he found himself attacking Luka one-on-one, and the result? An easy finish off the glass. The Lakers had their full roster back, but tonight, they learned a harsh truth. Having the pieces is one thing, making them fit is another. Despite Luka lighting up the Bulls from deep, Chicago still managed to close the half with a 3-point lead, but the real disaster? That unfolded in the third quarter, a brutal 15-point swing in Chicago's favor. Here's exactly how it went down. Dorian Finney-Smith got things rolling with a strong drive and a quick dish under the basket. LeBron, using his signature windshield wiper move, shifted gears effortlessly, slicing through defenders and finishing at the rim. Even the Luka to Hayes connection was producing high-percentage looks. But for every offensive highlight, the Lakers had an equal and opposite breakdown on the other end. The first issue? Reckless passing that led to turnovers. Luka tried to make something happen, but instead he got steamrolled in transition, sacrificing his body to prevent an easy bucket. It was a bad break for Chicago, but an even worse trend for LA. The same careless mistakes were happening again and again. Luka momentarily kept LA in it with a deep three, tying his career high. But before the Lakers could blink, the ball was back in Chicago's hands. The second issue? Lazy closeouts, and the Bulls took full advantage. Buzelis? Cash, no hesitation, no contest, just straight buckets. But it got worse. LA had no answers for Kobe White, who was gliding past defenders, floating in midair and finishing with ease. The points in the paint differential, laughable. Chicago was bullying LA inside, and when the Lakers finally collapsed the paint, the Bulls simply kicked it out to wide open shooters. Nikola Vucevic became a problem in the short roll, making quick reads and picking apart LA's defense. Chicago's ball movement had LA spinning, and the three-point barrage wouldn't stop. Buzelis again? Bang. Another clean look off an offensive rebound? Bang. Meanwhile, Josh Giddey was running the show, masterfully controlling the pace and keeping the offense flowing. The Bulls started the quarter 5 for 5 from deep. And instead of getting back on defense, Austin Reeves was too busy complaining to the refs. Kobe White made him pay. Bang, 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 24 points. Timeout Lakers. JJ Redick was livid. Reeves did manage to get one back, a tough three off a broken play, but at this point it didn't matter. LA was getting outplayed at every level. Luka tried to impose his will, bullying defenders like a playground menace, but frustration was starting to boil over. Then a tussle, Luka and Giddey getting into it. A little push, a little shove, and a technical foul on Luka. Meanwhile, Reeves didn't even bother putting a hand up as Buzelis knocked down his third three of the quarter. The numbers told the story. LA shot 50% from the field in the third, a respectable clip, but their defense, an absolute disaster. Chicago hit 80% from three, draining 8 triples in the quarter alone. And leading the charge, Kobe White now with 31 points. LeBron tried to stop the bleeding, finally finding a seam and scoring inside, but the damage was done. Heading into the fourth, the Lakers were in a 15-point hole. If they had any hope of clawing back, they needed a lockdown defensive stand and an offensive explosion. LA opened with a stagger screen for Gabe Vincent, who promptly drilled a three, then another one, a brief glimpse of hope. But Patrick Williams snuffed it out. On the other end, the Lakers' interior defense had completely collapsed. Chicago was walking to the rim, getting anything they wanted inside. The Bulls were pouring it on, and JJ Redick had seen enough. Timeout Lakers. The Bulls had pushed the lead to 18, their biggest of the night. Then, a rare bright spot, LeBron turned back the clock, a thunderous slam, a reminder that the old man still has bounce. But even that moment of brilliance couldn't mask LA's biggest issue, carelessness. Another turnover. Another fast break, the Lakers were handing Chicago extra possessions. Then came Josh Giddey's clinic. He was picking LA apart, dictating the tempo, threading cross-court dimes, surgical precision. Patrick Williams? Cash. Giddey rips another steal. Cookies, kicks it out, Kobe White, three, lights out. At this point, it wasn't just a loss, it was an embarrassment. And with Bronny checking in, JJ Redick waved the white flag. The Lakers gave up 81 points in the second half, they only scored 53. The biggest culprits, turnovers, 10 in the second half alone. And lazy, uninspired three-point defense that let the Bulls shoot a staggering 74% from deep after halftime. 14 threes, 74%, a complete collapse. A sobering reality check, and a sign that the Lakers have serious issues to fix before the playoffs arrive. Drop your thoughts in the comments and kindly like and subscribe for future NBA updates.